All right, Miss Sarah, you ready to go?
I'm ready. I forgot my notepad too. It's been a rough day, guys. So, we will go over the budget first. You have two items there in front of you. The first one is the budget like you will see it in the budget hearings. The top part is not filled in. I normally do that, but this year, we have moved my position from accounting into the county buildings budget, so it's all distorted. It will make my county buildings budget look like I'm spending much, much more than I actually am. So I did not fill this out for you because I wanted you to see the items that are our actual expenditures in the budget and where they are versus last year. So you have that in front of you as well as the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet goes back to the 2021-22 budget just to show you what we've been spending over the past 4 years. The budget this year is $15,900 more than last year. A lot of those increases are due to cost increase. Well, let me just ask, how would you like to go over this? You want to wait for questions, or do you want me to go over it line by line?
I'd say go ahead and just kind of give us the flyover. We've got the document in front of us, and so we may ask some questions.
So the architect line was increased by $2,000 because you know how expensive our project have been. It's hard to find an architect for 10, which we had last year. So I increased that $2,000. Communication, I increased that a little bit. I'm probably overspending this year in my communication line because we had to run 2 different SIP trunks while we were running the old phone system and the new phone system. And we had to pick up a couple of more SIP trunks with that. So that's increased that $1,000. But if you will look at your spreadsheet, in 2018-2019 fiscal year budget, that communication line request was $30,000. So we've come a long way since 2018-2019 in reducing those costs. Janitorial service, I raised that $1,000. We've been under a 5-year contract, didn't have any here. Maintenance, repair, services, buildings, I've increased that by $5,000. I couldn't paint the interior of that building over there for $20,000. You know, we're dealing with old buildings, and it's on the agenda today, but we have been looking at a grant to help us with some of our repairs at the annex building. But we'll get into that in just a few minutes. Equipment, I've increased that by $5,000. I've had to move. This year, I've had to move already $30,000 into my repair equipment line. I have HVAC units that are dropping like flies at the courthouse, the annex building. They're 19, 20 years old. I'm replacing them as they die. And that's about all I can do at this point. But we're trying to fix the ones that can be fixed. But if it's going to be half the cost to repair it, I've just been replacing those. Rentals increased by $1,800. Our rent for the industrial boards going up $150 a month this upcoming year, and for the next 3 years, that will be increased $150 a month.
Yeah.
So other contracted services, I reduced that by $5,000. I do try to reduce where I can. We have had a contract at the Justice Center for maintenance of our HVAC units. Those units will now be under warranty for a year, so we'll be good for a year for that.
Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Line 355, what is jail school?
355, jail school. Oh, that's where you have to be certified, like our employees, to be able to watch an inmate have to be certified. They have to go for a week's training
Okay.
to school. for certification. What do they call that? I mean, I'm sure there's a different name other than jail school, but
I don't know what the
Randy,
cost
do you
is.
know?
That's just curious.
Custodial supplies, supplies are increasing. I put $500 more in that. If we need some, we can go back. Gasoline, it's all over the place. We don't know. We're usually under our gasoline budget, so I did not increase that. Small tools, I decreased that $500 simply because, we spent our $1,000 last year and we really don't need anything right now. We have to buy vacuum cleaners and such out of this line item. So we replaced about 3 vacuum cleaners last year, so we should be pretty good with 500 there. Uniforms, we've not spent our full amount allotted for uniforms, and you see when we first put money in here for the guys to get work boots and uniforms, we increased that line to 1,500. We've never spent that much, so I'm just kind of been inching it down. If we don't use it, I don't put it back in the budget next year. Other supplies and materials increased $1,000 simply because the cost of everything. Other charges, we've never used the $500 there. Again, I try to, if we've not been using it, I try to cut it because there were some places that I had to have an increase. Building improvements, I increased $5,000. This is the line item that I've been buying the HVAC units out of for the courthouse in the annex building. Furniture and fixtures, I decreased $500 because we normally don't spend that much there. So we're looking at $15,900 in increased expenditures, but that's only 2%. 2.9 over 2.30 over last year's budget. Do you have any questions? I've had to move a lot of money around this year. Normally I don't, but we've had a rough year. We've had a lot of unexpected expenditures that were costly.
You've only come up with $15,900 increase over last year.
Yes.
That looks pretty good considering the cost of everything else going up.
Now, this does not include any of the salaries or anything like that, because I don't have those here. Again, we've made some changes to the budget, and I don't have those numbers. You have as well a capital project sheet. It just shows all the countywide projects that we have that need to be addressed. If you have any questions on that, we can look at that as well, but I would like to have some sort of nod from you guys to what I've requested would be okay for the budget committee to review. What they're gonna have,
When they get out. I thought that-
an awning where they can test.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Charlie, you were saying Churchill, the Rogersville Health Department has a grant. The Churchill Health Department does not have a grant for theirs.
17 Windows number 5, where are those at? In this
Where are
building?
you at, Nancy? Are
On
you
the
on,
first page,
on capital projects?
yes,
In our building here,
this building.
everything is broken down by building. If you'll see the top where it's dark yellow, that's where a new building starts. Everything's split.
So is that all the windows in this building?
Yes,
Mm.
we don't have that many windows. You would think there would be more, but we have put plastic over ours. My desk sits back in where those little long windows are, and it's freezing cold in the winter. We've put plastic over those, and it's helped somewhat. The things on our capital project that are really, really need is the, glass in the breezeway in the courthouse annex and the roof over there. Again, that's another part of the agenda, and I wanna speak to you about a potential grant to repair those.
I hadn't heard any results on, did we get all that glass replaced in the high part of the courthouse?
The windows.
Yeah. Yeah.
The steeple, yes, we replaced all the glass.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been 2 or 3 years ago, but I never heard anything from it.
Yeah.
All that's been done, okay.
Really, the only thing we need at the courthouse now is that steeple needs some paint. And I had hoped to paint it this year. I'd hoped to have a little bit of money at the end of the year. I kind of pull all my money together and do a project that's needed, but I've had to spend so much money on other things this year. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But we do need, the steeple needs to be painted. And although it's not a large project, the equipment that the painters have to rent to be able to access the steeple is expensive.
How good do you feel about these grants?
That we'll get them, or that they're
Possibility of us getting them.
pretty good. This historical preservation grant,
That's what I was
we-
thinking.
yeah, we've
How
been
quickly you
getting
get
those
them.
when we apply,
Okay.
because of our downtown historical
Right.
district. If anyone's not been in the town square recently, please drive by there today. I sat there at the red light, there's not a prettier place in Tennessee. It's absolutely beautiful, the tulips are blooming. And we got, the courthouse is right there, we've gotta keep that place looking nice. We had a gentleman here, he was a mayor from, what county was it?
Coffee County, I believe.
And he thought he had been to every county in the state of Tennessee, and he had been in Bean Station, and then somebody told him that Bean Station wasn't in Hawkins County, so he came, stayed at the inn, and he came over, visited with Mark and myself. He was just amazed at our little town. Nancy, I think you met him at the chamber breakfast, Hill Springs Inn that morning, he was staying there.
Yes.
And he had been in every county. I said, you saved the best for last. He said, you're right, I did. He was very complimentary of our county.
You feel we could get it exterior painted for $50,000?
That steeple?
No, I'm talking about the exterior of the building.
Oh,
There's a large building there.
that annex building. And we might could use the inmates on some of that, and I do that, but they can't be on equipment that's really high. So we would have to hire that out, but they could certainly paint up 6 to 10 feet with an extension pole.
I've looked over these figures that Sarah gave, the budget and the spreadsheet, and I'll have to say she works miracles with a little bit of money that we give her. Certainly would like to fix our house up a little bit, but it's at your discretion.
This, building over here across the street, that log house. Who owns it?
The log house,
Yeah,
Town of Rogersville.
Rogersville.
I know, didn't they get the logs from Laurel Run Park
Yes.
also? So, who can park over there? in that
There's
park?
no park.
There's no
There's
parking
no
over there.
It's blacktop, isn't it, on this side of it?
That's for the building that's there in that little
Yeah,
shop.
that belongs to L&T Metals.
That's
They bought,
not,
that was a, parking lot, I mean, that minor building was there, and they bought that when they bought the building.
The county building up there, I know, I was chairman of the building committee at the time, but we looked at it 20 years ago or longer, I guess. And the county building, it was spreading apart at the bottom. Inside, it had like 2-3 inch cracks between the floor and the outside walls,
That's been repaired,
been repaired.
yeah.
I know we
Yeah,
climbed
it has-
under it and everything else looking
Yeah,
at it.
it has a new roof, the foundation's been repaired, and it's got a new roof, and I think
we
the chimneys.
pointed the brick, repaired all the chimneys. We painted, all the woodwork on the front of the building, the west side of the building, and the back of the building. We replaced the glass that was broken out. If you drive by and look at it, it looks beautiful, but if you go
Real close.
to the east side of the building, it's in very bad shape. But we've done what we can. It just needed a little bit of paint 15 years ago, and it would, and a gutter.
And the good thing about the repairs on the Kenner House is that we half those with the city of Rogersville.
So we've done little baby projects as we could, I'll have a little bit of money left, I'll call, City of Rogersville and see if they got that much left over, and we'll throw in a small project. It's the only way that you can get some of these done, and again, that's what I try to do here in the county. I just try to do little projects at a time. The whole courthouse needed to be painted, but last year, at the end of the budget year, I had a little bit of money left over. And the pillows on Depot Street were in really bad shape. They were peeling and looked really bad. So I had that side of the building repaired and painted. And it was under our bid limit, so it was an easy fix. And that's the only way that I've been able to do projects, is just take a small project at a time. That's how we completed the library in the senior citizens building up there. It's just doing one project at a time as we have the money for it. And then eventually you'll get the whole building finished, but I'd love to be able
It's
to.
time to start over.
Yeah.
Just in time to start over again.
I'd love to be able to just hire an architect and say, finish the building, but it doesn't work that way. So we painted the depot side of the building, repaired those columns, and now the steeple needs to be painted in the front of the courthouse. John, you've been very quiet. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I think I've pretty much caught up in regards to your capital projects list. The few that I just saw that were, this list is essentially what the ideal of like to have, right? Like this is not, like we're just addressing a few things off this whole overall list in this
We're really-
yearly budget.
We're really not even addressing fixing any of this unless you guys want me to. The budget that I presented will get me through the year. It'll get me repairs that need to be made and any improvements that need to be made. So if we replace an HVAC unit, that doesn't come out of my equipment repair line, that comes out of building improvement line. So the budget I presented today is just to get us through the year. It doesn't include any capital projects.
Been floating around for
Forever and a day.
89 years.
It has gotten a little smaller. We got a lot of the Justice Center off from there. But it's getting a little smaller.
I guess I would like to, I know we can't do all of them, obviously, but if we could try to do some of the windows and fix the insulation, you made a note in there, and it's true, that it's gonna save us money in the long run, because it's gonna save on utility costs. And so, the longer we let those bad windows hang out, the more we're gonna eat up in energy costs, and it's gonna be, you know, it's just gonna cost us the same, you know, more money, in the future. So, in my opinion, I would like to see some of that insulation squared away so that we can decrease that energy consumption.
So, I was gonna discuss, some of the courthouse annex building windows, when I discuss my grant. Of course, I would think that those windows in the property assessor's office there, they're really bad. I mean, they freeze to death in the winter. A lot of their desks are on the back wall against those windows, and they're really bad. The rest of the windows are not really where people are working. There's a few in the election office, but a lot of them are in the hall. But this potential grant that we could get for the courthouse, we might, it depends on where the bids come in for the roof and the glass connector, but we might be able to squeeze in at least the front of the building windows. But Misty, Nancy, I know you've been working with her. I said something about windows to her the other day. She said, you do not want to put in windows with the historical grant.
No, because they'll hold your feet to the fire, you can't change them.
So, we could always check on it.
Yeah, well, we got dinged for how long, so we're gonna have to reframe those windows that were built in the 1800s. So, they don't like to change out windows.
Well, is that all your presentation?
That's it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the budget proposal first. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I think a 2.3% with inflation, what it is, a 2.3 is probably about as tight as we're gonna get. So I'll make a motion to accept the budget as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to send this budget on to the budget committee, for budget hearings. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Sarah, will you call the roll?
Nancy Barker,
Yes.
Charlie Thacker,
Yes.
John Gibson,
Yes.
Jason Rhodes,
Yes.
and Tom Kern.
Yes.